Creepers left and right, buzz like crazy. Everybody's trying to stimulate it. Spiders in the mirror and feel this can't be right. Back to the scene of a Friday night, to a blessed collision still frozen tight. Spear drinkers, Cupid and the sound of her first chime. And why did you argue? We're dreaming of those eyes.
Hello my friends, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. We're starting another reading vlog today. This is February 2nd when I'm starting this vlog. I took yesterday off from vlogging because I had just, I just had been filming a lot of stuff back to back, and oh, I remember why. I don't know if you care. I filmed one video yesterday. I don't know, and then I just put my camera away and hi, how are you? Let's start over. It's February. There are 2 readathons happening this month that I am taking part in. There's Fantasy Romance February, and then there's also the Black Author readathon. So I'm kind of going to be just vlogging some of the weeks and talking about some of the books that I'm reading, and so I just thought I would bring you along with me as I read these books. So the first book that I am reading, and I just picked it up yesterday, is the last book in the Grip trilogy. I just picked up Still. Picked it up on audio. I really enjoy the audiobook narrators, and I am a huge fan of this series. I feel like it's such an emotional romance, and I just love this couple so much. The basic premise of this, I kind of realized that you might want to know that, is Bristol and Grip. They meet when in the prequel novella, which you have to read, or you should read before you start Grip. You really should read Flow first. They meet when they are very young, I think like late teens. Bristol is in her late teens. She goes to visit her brother who has been emancipated from her parents. They're very, very wealthy, Bristol's family is. And he is like sort of like a music prodigy. So she goes to visit him, and she meets Grip, who is also a musician, a very talented musician. They meet and they have this insane connection that is like soul level, but also has a lot of chemistry and a lot of heat to it. They meet, and over the 2 weeks when they're together, they sort of fall in love there. Something happens right towards the end that tears them apart, and so Grip picks up where Flow ended off, where they're trying to find their way back together. Bristol is a white woman, and Grip is a black man, and so there are a lot of themes of how biracial couples, how that would actually work, and sort of the complexities and the conflicts that they have within both cultures. And it's just really, honestly, just a beautiful book. Like, I don't know what it is about Kennedy Ryan, but every time I pick up her books, I am instantly just captivated, swept away, drawn into the story, and I just love them so much. So I am very excited to read this. I am listening to this on audiobook right now, and I just have a feeling I'm going to love it. I've heard most people say that Still is their favorite one in the series, so I'm ready to have my heart ripped out and put back together. What is up with my hair today? It feels like it's flat, right? I don't know. I mean, I don't ever do anything with my hair, literally. I color it, and then I blow dry it. I don't even wash it very often. I use dry shampoo a lot. I do wash my bangs a lot, otherwise they get greasy and separate, so I just wash them in the sink. Pro tip. Anyway, let's move on to what else I'm going to be reading. So we also have Fantasy Romance February, so I haven't picked up my first book for that, and I'm not entirely sure which one I want to be my first. It may be one of these. It may be something entirely different. I do have a TBR video, which I posted where I talked about a lot of these. This is the wrong book. I've already read this. I want to read the second one of this. Let me go grab it. Hi, it's me, I'm back. So I definitely want to read, oh no, is it broken? The second book, A Touch of Stone and Snow. That is high on my priority list. And I really want to read Dragon Unleashed by Grace Draven. I really enjoyed Phoenix Unbound, the first book in this series. I'm not sure that they're connected by characters. I think this may have different characters. But this is about like a dragon shifter and a woman who has the gift of earth magic that is punishable by death. But I have recently read quite a few of Grace Draven's books, and so I kind of feel like I want a different author, so I'm not sure. But I also am interested in this. So I'm just like very torn. I don't know. But then I also feel, oh my gosh, I did it again. This is the first book. Hold on. The second book in A Touch of Darkness. This is a Hades and Persephone retelling. And I really want to read this, so I may read this. I don't know. I have so many options. Like, I have so many options for good books to read that I just don't even know what to read next. And yeah, that's pretty much all. I also want to read some of my arcs that I need to get to. I haven't done a very good job of reading arcs or keeping up with them. So a few of us are reading this arc, The Heiress Hunt by Joanna Shupe. This book comes out, I believe, March 9th. I should check on that. Yes, this book comes out March 9th. So this is the first in her new series. It is a Gilded Age historical romance. I really am feeling historical romance. I started this last night. I've read the first 4 chapters and I'm really enjoying it so far. Joanna Shupe does a really great job of getting me really instantly drawn into her stories. This book follows a man who is sort of like his family had money. They've fallen on hard times. This man, I can't remember his name. Harrison is sort of a self-made man. He's made his own fortune separate from his family. He returns home when his father has passed away, and his mother tells him that in order to save their family, who they have lost all their money, he needs to marry an heiress. So he goes to his childhood friend, Maddie, to ask for her help to find an heiress that he can marry. And of course they have some feelings from each other from their history, and it's just really good so far. Like, I love Joanna Shupe. I have high hopes for this. I've started to hear some of my friends give this some mixed reviews, so that makes me a little nervous. But I also feel like Joanna Shupe is such a quality writer. She just is, honestly, in my opinion, I feel like she is just an exceptional writer, and she does historical romance so well. There are some of her books where the story beats don't hit me real well. They don't kind of work for me, but I've never given her books below a 3-star. So I have some of her books that are a 3-star, and then I have some of her books that are some of my all-time favorites that I've given 5 stars. So I'm real curious to see where I fall on this. I'm definitely intrigued as of right now. So those are the reading plans so far. Reading Still on audio, and my arc of The Heiress Hunt, and then trying to decide which fantasy romance book to pick up, because there are some reading sprints tonight on Carrie's channel at Booked for Romance that I'm going to be on, and I need to find a book to read by then, so I'm not sure what that will be. But anyway, that is all for this update. I will see y'all when I have some more to share. Thanks for watching! Okay, so here is a reading update for y'all. I've been listening to Still all day long. I am... Whoa, that was close. Can you see? Let's see. So this is a bind-up of all... Oh my gosh, I'm such a great camera woman, right? I'm sorry. So this is a bind-up of all 3 of them, and this is where I'm at in Still. So I am about halfway through, and I love it so, like, I just love it so much. But I also, like, my heart is kind of hurting because, okay, I'll hold the camera still, I promise. I'm so sorry, I'm terrible at this. Because the conflict in this is really a lot of Bristol's insecurities and some of the things that have happened in their past, that have, her past and their past as a couple, that have kind of made her, not necessarily made her, that have, that she has built insecurities around. And so it's really kind of heartbreaking, and they're such a great couple. Like, they're such a beautiful couple together, and it just makes me so sad. Like, and I feel like we still haven't gotten to the conflict of this book yet. So I'm kind of nervous to see what that's gonna be, because I just want them to be happy. Like, in all honesty, I would read an entire book of them just being happy, because I just love them as a couple. I think they're just so beautiful together. So that's what I've been listening to today while I work, and I haven't picked up a book physically to read, and I'm still not sure what I want to read for the sprints tonight. We're just getting ready to do sprints for the Faro Feb, and I still am so indecisive. Like, I don't know what I want to read. So I could read this, but then I kind of felt like maybe I won't read this because Avery said she didn't like this as much as The Winter King on my video. My TBR video went up today. And then I thought I really want to read this because the synopsis sounds really good, but then I also heard some people say this wasn't as good as Phoenix Unbound. And then I thought maybe I will just read this because this was super easy for me to get into the first one. So this is maybe what I'll go with, and I may have said that this morning. In other news, I'm being very indecisive about what I want to read. I'm trying to find good light. What I want to read, what I have available to read, and what I think is going to just be... like, I want something that I'm going to get sucked into easily, and that also isn't going to require a lot of mental effort. So that checks Milivane off because I just don't have it in me to start that tonight. And I feel like that maybe is not a Grace Draven and I do have some on my Kindle that I might read. So I don't know. I'm still indecisive. So the reading sprints are going to start soon, and then after that I should have an update for you on what I read, because I'm going to read something. Just don't know what yet. Y'all, this book is so freaking beautiful. I can't, the love that these two have is just, it's the love that you dream about having. This is once in a lifetime love. And it's so beautifully portrayed. It's so emotional. It's so heartfelt. It's passionate. Like, this is the most epic of all love stories I've ever read. I don't know what else to say about this. My heart is literally, like, I am in tears from what I just read. Like, the way they talk about their love, the way they talk about marriage, it just, oh my gosh. And he's a musician, and he wrote this song for her, and it says, "Ask me when we toil, when we rest, when we fuss and fight. With the taste of anger burning my lips, I will say still. Ask me when your belly is full like the moon, and our love has stretched your body with my child, leaving your skin, once flawless, now silvered, traced, scarred. I will worship you. My eyes will never stray, my heart will never wander." Like, I can't, like, it's literally making me cry right now. I can't. This is the most perfect book that I've ever read. And I feel like a lot of people that I am friends with haven't finished this trilogy. Maybe they've read Flow and then Grip, because Grip kind of leaves it at a point where you could finish this series there and be satisfied with the ending. But if you haven't read Still yet, you have to. You have to read this book. I'm so obsessed with this, I can't even think of anything else that I want to do. I just want to read this book. But at the same time, I never want it to end, because this is one of those books that doesn't come around very often. It is the most beautiful book that I have ever read. The things that it says about racial inequalities, the things that it says about just really like love conquering all is just... Kennedy Ryan, what a freaking talent. What a talent. Like, no one else could write this. Honestly, this woman, I really feel like she was made to write the story. I feel like this is a story that needs to be read right now. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. And I still have like 100-ish pages left, and I'm like, what's gonna happen to them? I know I gush a lot, but you have to read this book. This whole series. The whole series is fantastic. Flow is amazing. Grip is amazing, but Still is on another level. It's so perfect. I feel like I'm at a loss for words. It's so perfect. I love it so much. That's all. Wow. I finished this trilogy. I finished Still. I literally just finished it like just a few seconds ago. And honestly, I'm kind of speechless. They go through something that is so devastating. I think that every married couple fears, I think. Not every married couple, I guess spoilers are going to be in here. That every potential parent fears is going to happen. And I think that this book conveys so much hope in it. I think that when you go through something that they went through, I think that it can really destroy a relationship, a marriage. And you could tell there was a moment in here where it looked like maybe that's what was going to happen between them. But the strength of Bristol, and the love that Grip had for her, and the patience that he had for her, this was so completely beautiful. This is true love here. I feel like, when I heard about the concept of this book, I honestly felt like, that sounds like how I met my husband. That sounds like our love story. And I just cannot, I sobbed in this book when that happened, when they had that loss. And Kennedy wrote about it so well, as if it was happening to you, as if it could have happened to you. And I think that if you are a mother, that is one of your greatest fears that will ever happen. And it was so raw. Like, the emotion in this book is so raw. And I love how she just... she talks about how love heals. Love is a healing power. You can watch these two when they're so broken and so torn apart by that tragedy, and they want to, just shut themselves off from the other person, and they don't want to feel that pain. But they don't give up on each other, like I've said this in my the Duke and I reading vlog. When one of you is weak, the other one is strong for you. That's how I think a marriage should work, and that was exactly what happened here. It was so beautiful. I can't... I honestly, I cannot express how perfect and how beautiful this love story was. This book is why I read romance. It was such a beautiful journey, and at the end, you know, it ends so happily, and you get to see a glimpse of their life in an ideal world. You know, how it ended for them was such a happy, wonderful way that it ended, and it just made me feel so hopeful. You know, I think that when we're young, maybe if you're watching this, maybe you haven't been married for 20 years like me, maybe you've never been in love before. Maybe you're in a long-term relationship, maybe you've been divorced, maybe you've had a bad breakup, maybe you've been widowed, or anything. And I feel like in life, it can be so easy to feel like love isn't real, and like love doesn't actually work, and it doesn't last forever, you know? But this book makes me realize that that's not true. Love really does conquer all, and I just loved this book so freaking much. I cannot praise it highly enough. This book ripped my heart apart, and I loved every second of it. 10 out of 5 stars. This is without a doubt my favorite book of the year. I don't even remember the last time I read a book that had this much of an emotional impact on me. This was perfection. I don't know what else to say. It was beautiful. There was nothing in this that was a flaw. It was perfect. It was perfection. And I just can't even say enough praise for Kennedy Ryan. What a gift she is. This was incredible. If you haven't picked it up, if you're on one of the other books and you didn't finish the series, you have to finish this. You need to read still. If you pick one book up on my channel, I hope you pick this one up. I really, really do. Let me know if you do. Man, that was incredible. Alright, so I have a t-shirt here I'm going to cut to be an off-the-shoulder t-shirt, and I thought I would show you guys quickly how I do it. It's not rocket science. It's very super easy. There's nothing really fancy about it, but my dear friend Sophie asked if I was keeping my method secret, and I'm like, no, I just haven't shared it because it's so stupid easy that I feel like it doesn't need to be shared. But I'm going to tell you how to do it. So I have some fabric cutting scissors. Those are essential, I feel like, and a measuring tape like this, a cloth measuring tape for fabric or something like that. And then I have a Sharpie that I am going to use to mark my shirt. I have a black shirt that I'm cutting, so I have this silver Sharpie because I want to see where I'm going to cut it. And then this is my shirt. Isn't it adorable? This is from Hello Lovely Box, and I love it. This is what it's going to look like, hopefully, when it's done. Just kind of off the shoulder. Easy. So, yeah, that's what we're going to do. So the first thing that I do is I fold it so that the pattern, the print, the front is out. I fold it in half, like this, so that the front is out. Kind of as close as you can. I mean, you know, the more, like, it's not hard, but the more accurate you are with this, like, the better it's going to turn out. And then I take my Sharpie and I mark where the middle is, and I'm going to cut that out, so I don't really care what it looks like. This isn't showing up great because it's, like, if you had chalk, that would probably work better. So there we have the middle. So now I measure myself, so I have my measuring tape, and I start from my neck and I go to just like the base of my shoulder, so like right there. And that is about 11 inches, and I'm going to, if it's over, I'm going to round down a little bit because it is going to be a little bit bigger, so I'm going to round down to probably 10 and a half. So I'm actually going to round that down to 10 because I want it to be divisible by 2. So 10 is a number that's easily divisible by 2, so it's going to be 5. Okay, so then I'm going to take my measuring tape, and I decided to go with 6.5, or I decided to go with 5.5, so I'm going to go from, now that needs to line up here to here. So I'm going to take my measuring tape, mark it off. This is where my first cut is going to be. This silver marker doesn't show up very well. And then I'm going to come down here, right there. Okay, and then going to start cutting. So I'm going to make a small cut first on the outside of my mark, going through both layers. And then I'm going to cut through the top layer only. And I'm going to kind of go a little bit of a circle. Now you don't need to be super precise here, but if you can make even cuts, it will definitely look better. But like, don't stress yourself out if it's too hard. Okay, first cut. I'm going to cut this part right here straight across so it's still attached. And then fold this over here. Fold it over on this side, so this is the template for this side now. And then we're going to cut the same way. There's the top. Looks pretty good. Now, for the back, you don't want to cut scooped. You're just going to cut straight across. So from wherever your cut is back here, you're just going to go straight like this. Because if you cut a scoop again, it's going to be too big and it's going to fall off your shoulder. Okay, there it is, all done. I take it and gently, because you don't want it to tear too much, sort of pull it like this so that you can get it to kind of roll at the top, which is super cute. And then I'm going to cut a little bit off the bottom too. You don't have to do this if you don't want to. You could even make this a crop top. Whatever you want to do. I am going to cut a little bit of mine off just because I think it's cute to have a cut edge on the bottom. Sometimes I cut the sleeves off too, but I'm not going to right now. Not the sleeves off, but like I will cut this hem of the sleeve off so that it will roll too. That can be super cute. I might do that, I haven't decided yet. So I'm just going to cut what I think is where I want it to be in the bottom. You can do this one with both layers, I think, because you're just going straight across. The longer your scissor cuts are, the better it will be. And And then I do the same thing, just sort of pull it so that it will kind of roll down gently. You don't want to be like bonkers with it. And then because I feel like this is a little bit more fitted, I'm not going to cut these sleeves. These don't look giant sleeves. So there we have it. Now I will go try it on and show y'all what it looks like. That's my very, very user-friendly way to cut off-the-shoulder shirts. Hello friends, here we have it. Here is my shirt. This is what it looks like, just regular. I did not cut it as even as I would have liked, but it's pretty cute. I'm happy with it. Works every time, pretty much. If you get that, once you get that measurement right, and you learn the method for cutting it, it's super easy and it goes really well. So, I did not update you for a few days because after I finished Still, I kind of had like a book hangover. Like, I just did not feel like picking anything up or reading anything. I just was like, it ruined me for all other books. But then, you know, I went about 4 hours without having a book to read. And then I decided to go back to Kennedy's backlist, so the next book that I picked up is My Soul to Keep, I believe. It's the Soul series. This is her series that she wrote before Grip and Still, so this is the first one. It's My Soul to Keep. This is before the Grip trilogy, and I wanted to read this one because it follows Bristol's brother and Kai. So this follows Rhysand and Kai, and this is their story of how they met and fell in love, and honestly, I am obsessed with it. I have the toy with that. This used to be a turtle. Sit! Go. So Rhysand was a music prodigy, and his parents ended up, I apologize for the squeaking, but his parents really had a lot of pressure on him, and they used him for their financial good because he was such a successful musician, and it ended up being so stressful for him that he developed a drug addiction to, like, Xanax, I think is what it was, and so he ended up emancipating from his parents and going to live with his uncle because it was just a toxic environment. So we do see Rhysand a little bit and Kai a little bit in the Grip trilogy, and I just wanted to stay in the same circle of characters. I just feel like there's something, even though Kennedy's books are so emotional and heart-wrenching and make me feel so much, like, and I don't even want to say that there is a certain level of angst in her books, but it's also the kind that I just am really digging, and it's the kind that I want to read right now. Specifically, I just am in love with her books, so I don't know when I'll get out of this Kennedy Ryan rabbit hole. I'm not ready to leave yet. So I started this book. I am let's see, I'm listening to it on audio, and I'm on chapter 33. I have about 2 hours left, so a lot has happened. This is a really beautiful story. You get to see Kai, who is the heroine, and where she came from. I would say trigger warning for the loss of a parent in this for sure. It's just really beautiful to see her story and everything that she came out of and what a talent that she has. She's a singer and a dancer. She's trying to make a name for herself. She ends up kind of just stumbling upon meeting Rhysand, who is world famous, like plays at the New York Times Square for the New Year's celebration. I can't think of what it's called. And so she is hesitant to start a relationship with him because she doesn't want the success that she has to be because she knows him, you know. She wants to make her way on her own. They have this really powerful connection, and it's a lot of chemistry, and I am really enjoying it. I don't know that I am really loving this, but I don't know that it's not gonna top a Grip for me, for sure. But I am still really enjoying it, so it's very, very fun. It's a very, very fast read. I just love Kennedy. She's just top tier for me. She's fantastic. So that's mostly what I've been listening to. I also ended up getting an ARC for Waiting on a Scot Like You by Ava Leigh. I commented on something she had posted about how it's coming out soon, and I've had this book pre-ordered. I've been waiting for it for a really long time. It is one of my most anticipated releases this year, and I commented and said something like, I keep waiting to see if it will just magically arrive, and it hasn't yet. And so she messaged me privately, and she's like, would you like an ARC? And I said, Yes, absolutely I would. So I'm reading that. I'm about halfway into that, and I am very much enjoying this. This is such a fun, empowering, it's just different. I feel like Ava writes a lot of very different historical romances, and this one is especially different. This has a little bit of an age gap. Our heroine is 46, and our hero is 34, so you have the older woman, younger man type of age gap. And she is on her way traveling across not the country, she's traveling to an orgy. And so she ends up hiring Captain Duncan, I think is his last name, Duncan. His name is Duncan Cameron. Her name is Lady Ferris. The fun thing about this series is that it's sort of a very vague retelling of 80s movies. So this one is of Ferris Bueller. And it's just, honestly, there are so many lines in here that are these little nods to the movie that is just a ton of fun. And if you grew up in the 90s or the late 80s and or if you just loved 80s movies, I think you would really appreciate this because it is so very much fun. There's a ton of chemistry between Lady Ferris and Duncan. He has been hired. He was in the war, so it does seem like he may have a little bit of trauma from being in the war. He doesn't really know how to live in a civilian life without war right now. And so she's had a lot of trauma. Also, she's a widow. I don't think I mentioned that. So she's a widow. That's why she's out traveling around. She's got the freedom and the finances to be able to finally devote some time to her life and what she wants to do and what she has decided to do. And so the whole book is really the series of her finding these moments in her life and taking them and enjoying them in that moment, just finding her pleasure along the way. And it's so fun. I fully expect this to be a 5-star read. I am really enjoying it, and it's very woman empowerment. It's a lot of, like, he's such a stern, almost like a stern brunch daddy, the hero, and he is really, really great, and I am loving it a lot. So I can't wait to read more of that. That's the book that I'm physically reading on my e-reader, and then I'm gonna finish listening to My Soul to Keep, and then I will update you. I haven't really read too much more of The Heiress Hunt, although I hope to be able to finish that. I don't know that I'll include it in this vlog because I have a feeling this vlog is going to be very long. But I will update you on My Soul to Keep and Waiting on a Scot Like You for sure. I'll check in with y'all when I've made more progress. Well, I just finished My Soul to Take by Kennedy Ryan. I can't even remember. I can't remember titles or character names. This is a problem. I just finished that, just barely, on audio. And I really liked it. Like, I liked it a lot. I was very captivated by the story. I really loved it. I think this was published in 2016, and I definitely would say this is not her strongest work for sure, but it was still really good. It was really enjoyable. It did end on a cliffhanger, which I feel like is pretty common for Kennedy to do that sometimes, so I'm not mad at it, but I'm also like I wanted some type of resolution, and what's in my hair? You really didn't get that much at all in this one, so I am going to keep listening to the series for sure, but I don't know when. I'm probably not going to pick it up right away. Well, yeah, I probably will. Who knows? TBR, out the window. We don't know her. We don't have a TBR. We're just mood reading 100%. So, yeah, I just wanted to update you that I finished that. So I think I'm going to did I say my rating? I'm going to give it a 4-star rating. It was a solid read. Kennedy Ryan is such a gifted storyteller. She really creates a lot of wonderful emotion between her characters and her relationships. She portrays love so well, and I really enjoyed that a lot. I really liked these characters, and I loved that we got to see Grip and Bristol a little bit in here. Although Bristol was definitely unlikable in this book, the heroine from the Grip trilogy, so if you haven't read the Grip trilogy yet, I would recommend reading that first, because I was reading this and I was like, Bristol! She's pretty unlikable. Anyway, that's my update, so now I'm going to finish the Ava Leigh one, and hopefully the Heiress Hunt, and hopefully have some to wrap up about that. Check in a little later. I was just recording and thought I was recording and realized I wasn't. I hate it when that happens. So I finished Waiting on a Scot Like You by Ava Leigh last night. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. It was adorable. It was so fun. This almost felt like it was a love letter to romance readers because it was full of really like women empowerment and women pleasure. Like, the whole concept is the heroine, Beatrice Ferris, is a widow, and she is 46 years old. She's raised her children. She was in a very loveless marriage where she really had zero freedom, had no ability to do what she wanted to, and her needs and feelings were not considered a priority by her husband at all. So now that she is a widow and she has the finances and the freedom to do whatever she wants, she is out on this journey to go to an orgy, but along the way she is stopping and taking pleasure and fun and happiness wherever she can find it, whether that's trying new foods or stopping to dance or something like that. It's just so very sweet. So she is accompanied by Duncan McCameron, who is a captain. He was in the military, he served in the war, and now that the war is over, he is trying to find how to live a life now in peacetime instead of in wartime. So he's kind of struggling with that. He's really a man of honor and duty and really tries to do what's right. And so for him to just like take pleasure wherever he finds it, like, he's like, no, we don't do that. So they're a fun little mix. He is escorting her to her destination, and they have this really electric connection, and they start to develop more feelings. She's positive that she is never going to marry again, and all he really wants, like, he is such a good alpha mellow. He is peak alpha mellow, Stern Brunch Daddy vibes, but also very, very mellow and soft, and that all he wants is a wife and a family. Like, he wants that so much, and oh my gosh, it was so good. Like, I really loved it. He's also a closet dom, and just, it was so fun. I loved it, honestly. 5 out of 5 stars. I would highly recommend this. This is a very unique historical, and it was just so fun. It really did feel like it was just a love letter to romance readers, and there's a lot of nods to those 80s movies like Ferris Bueller and Breakfast Club, and there's one scene that's specifically reminiscent of Footloose, and it was just so good. Like, it was a very happy, very low angst, very empowering. It was just such a fun read. I just loved it, and it was fantastic. I think this is one of my favorite. I don't know that I've actually ever read an older woman, younger man historical. If you know of any, let me know below, because this was fantastic. It was so good. Highly recommend it. So that comes out February 23rd. And if you like the things that I talked about, if you want, like, it was just so sweet watching Duncan, like, he knew that he was falling for her and that he had feelings for her that were more than just physical, but he also knew that she didn't want to have any type of a long-term relationship, and that's really what he wanted. But at the same time, she was having feelings for him, and it was also very steamy. It was so fun. I loved it. It was really, really good. It was just happy, you know? So that's that. I'm going to finish the Heiress Hunt today so I can let you know my thoughts on that one as well. I'm about halfway through that. I'm really liking it too. And yeah, hopefully it stays good. So I'll have one last update with my thoughts on the Heiress Hunt, and then I will say goodbye till my next vlog. Alright, so let's wrap up this vlog. I finished the Heiress Hunt by Joanna Shupe, and I decided to give this 3 stars. I honestly am a really big fan of Joanna Shupe. I think that she is an excellent writer. She always is. She has this really great ability to get me really invested and sucked into her stories right away. Excuse you, doggo. And she creates characters that I'm interested in, like, right off the bat, that I'm invested in, that I care about. She has a great grasp of tension in her romances. And overall, like, I feel like she just does a really great job with her writing, but there's always, not always, but I feel like maybe 50% of the time when I read a Joanna Shupe, there's something that happens that I just don't like, and that was what happened here. So this book, we have Maddie and Harrison, who were childhood friends. They grew up throughout the years as kids and friends, and Harrison ended up having this huge crush on Maddie and was sort of pining after her for years. The year that Maddie comes out, Harrison decides that that's when he's going to declare his love for her, and he's been waiting in the wings to do this as soon as Maddie comes out for her season. So he ends up waiting with a friend. He's right about to tell Maddie this, and he overhears Maddie refer to him as she only has feelings for him as a brother. This leads him in a big spiral. He ends up going to Paris and living a life of debauchery and building his own fortune. Years pass. Something happens with his family at home where they are in desperate need of money, and he needs to marry an heiress to make sure that his family can survive. So he goes to Maddie, who's from one of the wealthiest families in New York, and asks for her help to find an heiress for him to marry. However, his secret plan is really to get her to fall in love with him, or to realize that she loves him and to marry her. So it has such a fun setup, and it has such a fun plot, and really the first half of this book was pretty strong. Probably the first third was really strong. Like 30% into it, I was really into it. I was really loving the characters, everything. I was really loving how the story was going. And then it sort of just went downhill from there, and specifically once, as often happens in historical romance, they end up compromised and they marry. They're forced to marry. And that really was when all of the tension just dissolved, and the problems that they were having were problems they'd had from the beginning of the book. Harrison is pining after her. He is so head over heels for her, but he just constantly does the thing that I really don't like heroes to do. He is constantly making choices for her, constantly taking her agency from her and not allowing her to have her agency. And this is a problem because Maddie recognizes this, and she brings this up to him several times, and it is a major source of conflict, and he never learns from this ever. She expresses how she feels, he never changes. It just is the cycle of them doing that over and over and over again. I felt like the final conflict in this, the final act when they finally get together, it was resolved way too quickly. It was, and it bothered me the way that it was resolved, because it was almost like what had happened that drew them apart. I mean, it drew them apart for a good reason. But they were also very melodramatic about it. They just really jumped to the most awful worst case scenario they could do to solve their problems. And then the resolution of that happened within just a few pages, and it just, I don't know, I really loved how Harrison pined for Maddie specifically, but I really just honestly didn't really love their romance. Another thing about their romance is because they were childhood, sweethearts, essentially, it really felt like we walked into it with the assumption that they were in love, or that these feelings were real, and we never really got to see the buildup of them fall in love. It was just either an established fact, or all of a sudden they just declare their love, and I never really loved that, and I feel like I would have really loved to see some scenes from their teenage years where they were falling for each other, or, seeing a little bit of that as they were adults. But overall, it was definitely a fast-paced read, and it was a fun read while I was reading it, but ultimately it was a little bit forgettable, and it definitely isn't one of my favorites of Joanna Shupe's, and I am super interested to read the other books in this series. This is the first of her new series, because you could tell in this one that side characters and potential couples are introduced, and they were honestly really interesting, so I'm gonna definitely have my eye out for future books in this series. I mean, this is definitely a worthwhile read. There were just some things that ultimately, it was a fun read. But ultimately it was forgettable, and it was also a little unsatisfying. So it was a 3-star read. It wasn't a bad read. It just didn't stick with me, So, alright, this vlog has been very long. I read 4 books. I read 2 contemporaries, 2 historical romances, got 2 arcs read, found 2 5-star reads, a 4-star read, a 3-star read. It's been a good reading week. Thank you so much for watching along with me. I hope you enjoyed this reading vlog. I hope you enjoyed hearing my thoughts and seeing my reactions as I've been reading these books. And if you have made it this far, please feel free to leave me a flower, because it's almost Valentine's Day. Thank you so much for watching, my friends. I'll see you in my next video.